Well, many of you have waited a long time, I know. We'll keep on going through the pile here. Linda Brandis? Okay. Bill Carrazan, are you here? Mr. Carrazan, I presume? Welcome to the Senate Oversight Committee.
Yes, thank you very much for having me here to speak. I'm a resident of Wayne County, registered voter, polled down here, was registered at the TCF Center. I was at the TCF Center from November 3rd, 10 p.m. till November 4th, around 5 a.m. So I was there during the observation of the ballots that came in that have been discussed many times. I was made aware of the process, obviously, with the counting board tables. So I did witness some things with ballots taken to tabulators and run. Some cases they were run multiple times. Of course, there's a zeroing out. It wasn't always obvious to see how that was done completely. I witnessed on at least one occasion where operator number 5, who basically carries the ballots over to the stations for tabulation, was handed back a ballot. Didn't fully understand at that point why that would possibly be, because those are to be returned into the secure boxes. I would say between 1 a.m. and 4 in the morning, roughly, it was very quiet. It was a very big lull in the overall center. Many people can attest to folks with heads on tables. This was on not only the polling stations or the absentee ballot stations, but also at the tabulator table areas. In fact, I witnessed some person on a tabulator screen playing a card game. I sat there with my son, who was also there as a poll challenger, and another acquaintance as we watched this. So to give you the sense, there was a big lull. Around 4 o'clock, 3:30, I think I've heard 4 o'clock, is by my estimation, there was a delivery, I would estimate, because the table in the center next to the main stage is where the ballots were brought to. Somewhere at least 60 boxes were brought in. They did have a wrap around them, which was very what I expected to be standard. When that work was basically prepared for people to come up and get it, the person called up and said, "Come and get your extra work." They were called up by precincts, and then those groups would come in small sections and take these back and then run them to their table. So just to give you a feel for that environment and what was taking place. I was also taking the opportunity, because of the canvassing that was taking place, I was at the canvassing board meeting that Monica Palmer spoke about earlier, and I will just tell you, it was extremely hostile. It was very personal. It was very aggressive with regards to the threats that were made to her personally, her family.
1 minute left.
Yeah. And I would just say that really didn't have any place, and nobody shut that down. It was high intimidation. And Mr. Kinlock, or his other representative on the Democratic side, made no comments to calm this down. So when the vote was taken to not certify, of course, there was a side discussion that actually had some other further developments that everybody's aware of. I would just say nobody talked about the fact that they had so many out of precinct locations. When the meeting began, a pile of affidavits were set on the table, and Mr. Kinlock said they were received by himself in that day. They really weren't used, reviewed, or anything, just submitted to minutes. So really no benefit in providing that. The meeting was delayed by 2 hours to start, a very strange delay. As Monica said, there was no executive summary. The numbers were rattled off regarding out of balance. I would just say it was a very hostile environment, and the main takeaway from my side is, I think you guys know, an out of balance precinct can't be recounted. That doesn't make any sense. If it's out of balance, it should be.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions? Senator McDonald.
Thank you, sir. Sir, were you given any guidelines at all on how to do the work properly? Was there a chain of command of any type that you saw?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that was
I thought you were talking about information we received.
Yeah, was there a chain of command? Were you given any guidelines whatsoever on how to do the work effectively?
There was information that was provided. Some people could watch video sessions that were provided with some information. There was some written material that was provided. So to some extent, and I heard about the on-site location activity, that was not extended as an opportunity to us, but we did get information and training material that could be looked at to understand the process, yes.
So there was a semblance of organization? It sounds completely disorganized. Was there even a semblance of organization at all within the team?
I thought you were referring to my or our information to be a poll challenge.
Yeah, your witnessing of the poll challenge. Was there any organization, even a semblance of organization?
I personally was on table number 18 mainly,
okay.
And then I walked around. That table did a fairly, I think, consistent job. There were times where poll worker, the person operator 1 to operator 2 may not have confirmed a number and name on the ballot, the scan and the handoff and this kind of closed loop process. I did witness that at other tables also being missed. When there was a 3-hour lull with people literally with their heads on the table, there was a lot of downtime there. And this wasn't just at the tables, this was right down the tabulator station too. And then at 4 o'clock, 3:30, 4 o'clock, when that truck hit and the other work came. Now I wasn't there after at 5 or so, as that's when we left, that these were counted. But I mean, there was a big lull there. So not very organized and structured. If a person can sit there and play a card game on a tabulator screen, clearly there's something missing in the organization.
Again, it's very troubling, but thank you for the information, sir. Appreciate it.
Senator LUCIDO.
Thank you very much for being so patient. I don't want you to run so fast. I wish your gut reaction when you were there at that time of the morning and seeing these ballots coming in and not seeing any other ballots around for 2-3 hours before that, right? What was your feeling, or what was it that you made any reference to about those ballots?
Well, it was my first experience to be down there and be a poll challenger. I'm more involved in this year's cycle than I had been before. So for me, it was novel. I didn't know why they would be there. I started stepping back and asking myself, why would things close at 7 and 8? And then at 4 o'clock in the morning, this proliferation of ballots would arise. So I just had questions that just didn't seem to make sense from that perspective, but I think others maybe want to make comments as to why those were so late.
Are those boxes consistent with what you've heard the testimony? You were sitting here during the testimony earlier. Was those boxes of ballots that were delivered to the TCF, you didn't see if they came in the back door, you didn't see?
I went to the back door when they came in, so I did see the truck. I did see them being unloaded. I saw the gentleman with the dolly that would bring some of them. I actually took the time to walk over to the tables in the center to watch them get stacked. I counted, I did a rough estimation because the tables were basically mostly empty. So I was able to get a general idea of how many were brought in at that time. And then at 5 o'clock, we were pretty much done with what we were doing that day.
Thank you very much. We have to leave, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for being patient.
Yep, you're welcome.
Myself and Senator Irwin have another committee meeting